Number 5, Nicola Willis.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, does he stand by his statement that every day of the week we look to see what savings and reprioritisations we can make? If so, what specific savings or reprioritisations has he identified this week?
Speaker.
The Honourable Grant.
Speaker, I stand by my full statement that, quote, the Prime Minister issues quite a few instructions, and I have in front of me here the Budget 2021 Savings Initiatives and the Budget 2022 Savings Initiatives. We take very seriously our job as responsible fiscal managers, and every day of the week we look to see what savings and reprioritisations we can make. End quote. And as we work towards Budget 23, I can confirm we are doing this. Just today, the Budget Policy Statement has identified how about $3 billion of appropriations marked and forecast for COVID spending have been returned to the centre over the past 2 years.
Does he think that part of the government's problem is that the Prime Minister issues so many different instructions from one headline to the next that her ministers have been unable to properly prioritise spending and focus on getting the basics right?
Oh no, Mr Speaker, I think my Prime Minister is pretty focused in the instructions that she gives us. Savings is one of those areas. The member could probably save us all a bit of time by rolling Chris Luxon now rather than later.
Why did the Prime Minister make such a point of asking ministers to review...
Order. What's the rule? Silence.
Why did the Prime Minister make such a point of asking ministers to review their spending priorities over summer if this is, as he asserts, business as usual from his government?
Well, Mr Speaker, I believe the Prime Minister made the point in a series of interviews. I'm sure if you look back over time, you'll see that both her and I have been seeking throughout our time in government to make sure we get value for money, that we reprioritise. And as I did say to the member yesterday, I'm more than happy to table for her the savings from Budget 2021 and the savings from Budget 2022. I can't because they're in the public domain, but they're there for her to read.
New Zealand is meant to believe that despite this being the biggest spending government end ever, with a finance minister that's broken every operating allowance he's ever set, that this time it will be different because the Prime Minister's read the focus group report and knows she's got to get the spending under control.
Mr Speaker, a few people might have read the focus group report in this House, and that's why I answered the way I did in my earlier question.
Will he commit today to account for all the money from taxpayers that has been spent to date on the TDNZ RNZ merger, the development of his jobs tax and any other wasteful projects that the Prime Minister decides to put on the scrap heap after her summer break?
Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister has already answered questions today about what she's asked ministers to do over summer. In answer to the first part of the member's question, there's a process we have for accounting for the expenditure of the government. It's called the budget.
That's a no.
Question number